Well, you can't say it doesn't shoot for the moon. Alright, everyone back again with another movie that I did cover I at least watched a while ago, so bear with me while I try to remember details about it. Although this one's a pretty memorable one, whether you like it or not. This one is Dream Scenario. It's another Nicolas Cage film that came out late last year. I think it went on a very limited release. I wasn't able to go see it at the time, although I was curious about it, but it's catch on streaming now. So here we go. So for those who don't know what this movie is, Dream Scenario stars Paul Matthews, who's played by Nicolas Cage, who is kind of a boring, kind of listless man, like doesn't have a whole lot going for his life, very insecure, very much wants notoriety, very much wants attention, but doesn't have the social tools to actually get it in a way that matters. But one day, for some inexplicable reason, he just starts showing up in tons of people's dreams. And people start recognizing him from popping up in these dreams, and he ends up kind of become a celebrity as a result of them. Even though he doesn't really do anything in these dreams. For the most part, he just kind of just stands there indifferent and doesn't really interact with anyone or anything for any particular reason. But that being said, he does kind of get notoriety out of it, and he's able to milk that for internet success, basically. So he starts getting, like, book deal, and he starts getting, like, advertising deals and all these kind of things, try to pitch at them. But over time, as the dreams kind of evolve, people start turning on him because he starts trying to violently attacking them in their dreams. Spoiler, I guess. And then everyone kind of but it's kind of relevant to my kind of major critique about this movie, so I kind of have to talk about it. So I apologize if I just kind of throw that out there. But anyway. But over time, he starts getting more violent with people in his dreams, which causes everyone like a traumatic response, and suddenly everyone his fame and turns into infamy, and everyone just despises this man, which he has a very, very hard time dealing with. So, this kind of just devolves into him trying to salvage his life, basically, because now everyone kind of hates his guts. He's not allowed to go anywhere. He's asked to leave everywhere he goes. He ends up making like internet videos to apologize for what he's doing on the internet, but everyone, because it's insincere. It's very much, in my opinion, trying to be like a commentary on cancel culture, and the short lifespan of going viral. For whatever reason, and I think like it's because it's trying to go. It's when it starts going in that direction, where it's clearly trying to critique like cancel culture and stuff like that. I think that's where the movie kind of falls apart, at least for me, because the analogy has some major flaws that I feel like are being overlooked. So I guess start with a positive one. It is definitely a big concept movie, and it does try to explore that concept as far as you could possibly take with it. I think there's even a point like 20 minutes into it, I was like, how the fuck are they going to stretch this out for another hour, like an hour and a half? And they do pretty well for the most part. Nicolas Cage does do a very good performance here. He is engaging. He is interesting. He plays the idiosyncrasies of this kind of boring man very well, and makes him like almost forces him to be interesting despite being deliberately boring. And it is interesting to see how they explore this concept, how they explore the personalities involved, explore just how quickly something like this would grab on to pop culture, and how people would cosplay as him for Halloween, who would try to like use the dream power to sell Sprite or something, like all that. I liked all that stuff. Like that was very much like, yeah, okay, as a satire on society and influencer culture, that makes sense. And I buy that as 100% like what a direction we would go into. Where I think the movie falls flat is in the second half of the film. When they start going into him being canceled for what he's doing to other people in their dreams. Now, there's some implications that this is kind of triggered by him, like, almost hooking up with a younger woman and then kind of checking it out because he came too quickly. So, like, it almost feels like it's insecurely driven. But the main flaw with this premise is it does imply that people who are canceled, which I honestly take umbrage with the term and the notion, because I think a majority of people who are allegedly canceled aren't actually canceled. They just loudly whine that they are because they aren't getting the response they want to what they're doing. This is largely boils down to stand-up comedians, Ricky Gervais, Dave Chappelle, people like that, Louis C.K. But most of the people like that are canceled, legitimately canceled, like Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein or Roseanne Barr, like they actually did that shit. Like that's kind of where my issue lies with this. Even though like most like the ones that are actually canceled, the ones that actually face consequences, have their lives ruined over the place where they can't recover, they actually did the thing they're being canceled for. It's not hyperbole. It's not people making shit up or attributing something incorrectly. Because this is a case where, yeah, like even though he's violently attacking people in the dreams, he's not actually doing it. He has no control over what he does in these dreams, at least not in any way he knows. So, like, it's not actually his fault. So trying to put him as this avatar for cancel culture and stuff like that has a flawed premise of also implying that other people who face similar backlash didn't actually do the thing that they're being canceled for. They did. They fucking did. And I feel like trying to reduce that or minimize it is not helpful. And granted, like, there is definitely a purity problem on the internet. I'm not going to miss that either, where people will try to cancel people over like the smallest things or things that were done years ago, where they've clearly tried to grow past that. I do definitely believe some of that is overblown. But that being said, like the serious shit, like where they do actions like what. Like, they're not being canceled. They're just consequences. And I kind of take umbrage with the notion of trying to minimize and downplay that, because there is more nuance to that discussion. There is more to explore there. It's not just like, oh, they're poor victims who did nothing wrong, they're just being unfairly criticized, which is kind of what's presented here. But if you're presenting this also as a satire of this particular piece of internet influencer culture, then yeah, how you represent that matters. And how it's represented here feels very, I don't want to say reckless, but disingenuous. It feels like it's cutting out an important piece of context. And it's cutting out this notion that, yeah, there should be consequences when you treat people in shitty ways. You don't just get to walk away from that. The people that are actually under fire for situations actually did the thing. Most of the time. There are very few cases where that's not true, and even then, that's usually like with hate mobs. Like I think James Gunn is kind of the king of like false accusations right now, where people just kind of make shit up about him or try to attribute any negative thing to him just so they have a reason to hate him more. That is a problem that does exist, but James Gunn still has a career. You know, even the people that were allegedly canceled still have careers. They're doing fine. Like Dave Chappelle has allegedly been canceled like 5 times ago, and he's still getting specials on Netflix. Ricky Gervais too. His career is fine. Like very few people that have actually been canceled. And the people that usually are canceled is because they actually did a criminal offense and they went to jail. Again, Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. Roseanne Barr, not so much, but she might be one of the few exceptions. I would also say, like, the only ones I could think of that are legitimately canceled were the Dixie Chicks, which was during the War on Terror, because they criticized the War on Terror. That was a not popular move at the time, so their career was kind of busted. But even then, that was still, like, they still actually criticized it. They still actually got a consequence for it. I'm not saying it was right, but they did. And it's not like they just made it up, and then their career was ruined as a result of it. I feel like presenting it like this unintentionally kind of presents this idea that, the people that are actually getting criticized for these things didn't actually do these things. And it's like, no, they did, and they should be criticized for it, and they should face consequences for it. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm just repeating myself now, so I'll kind of end that rant there. But that's really kind of my big sticking point for the movie. And I sure was kind of watching it, feeling like I just feel very uncomfortable, and this feels unpleasant, and I did kind of like the ending. I know a lot of people criticize the ending, but actually the ending was kind of a sweet idea, even though it feels like it goes on for too long. It goes past where it feels like it should naturally have stopped. But I don't know. I feel like it's a great idea that has very flawed execution and unintentionally harmful interpretations of its satire. So I think it's really all I have to say about Dream Scenario. I'm going to go and move on to the next video because I still have 3 other movies to go. So talk to you guys soon. Bye.